Come and unlock your power. SME, grow your business hour by hour.
For anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Sarah Moon and I am a marketing consultant as part of the Go Get Organised team. For anybody who missed this morning, what I was saying was that Naomi is unfortunately struggling with a bit of a bronchial cough this morning. So I've just jumped in. She is here in the background, so she's absolutely okay, but I've just jumped in to help get the morning started. So this morning we are absolutely delighted to welcome Theo Austin and Pete Thomas from Trace and Circle. They're obviously going to be delivering a presentation on how AI enables SMEs to get affordable enterprise level automation. Managed to get that out in one go. So for those of you who are new here, just to give you a brief overview of Go Get Organised and SMEs Unleashed. So Go Get Organised was set up by Naomi Summers 13 years ago. I want to say 13 years ago, maybe nearly 14. It's basically a organisation to help bring organisation to companies. So delivers marketing support, VA support, social media, lots of those services that you know you need in your business. You don't necessarily always have time to do because you're busy running the day to day. So that's Go Get Organised. And then last year, Naomi realised that actually the hardest part of business is being alone, support. It can be expensive. So has decided to start up SMEs Unleashed to build a great community where there's on-hand support and conversation so that we can all work together to sort of pull each other along in business and deliver the support we need. So these webinars are here to help deliver expert information so that we can sort of take this stuff on board, and then if we have any further questions we can follow up with Pete and Theo after, and we can give you the contact details to get in touch. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Pete and Theo to start their presentation.
Hi everyone, can you all hear me? It's going to take that as a yes. So my name is Theo Austin. I work for Trace and Circle. We are an AI and automation company based in Bristol. So I lead the technical side. So everything from code to writing the code we write in the cloud infrastructure where we host it. I've spent most of my career helping organizations understand how AI can support their customers, their teams, and their bottom line, i.e. make them money or save them money, while also improving customer and employee experience. I've usually worked for large enterprises, but the technology has become kind of more accessible to everyone now, and it kind of means that a lot of small to medium enterprise businesses are able to use AI, and often they're a lot quicker as well in terms of pivoting with AI. So we are kind of getting more into that area where we're helping medium-sized businesses make practical use of AI. Over to you, Pete.
Hey everyone, I'm Pete Thomas. I've been working in conversational AI for about 20 years now. I've had the genuine joy of working with my business partner for 17 years of that. It's a long time. And the last 3 years, we've been running our own consultancy, providing technical and developmental services to other consultancies so they can deliver to kind of larger enterprise clients. I straddle the tech lines. So my job is a conversation designer, which is kind of like a UX designer, but translating business processes into kind of natural human conversations. So think of it like wireframing with words rather than buttons. I'm not techie enough to be a programmer, but I do have to write bits of code to understand and infrastructure so I can hand over all of that work to Theo.
Thanks, Pete. Okay, so what we'll cover today then is we're going to be looking at how you can kind of streamline and have a real powerful process for reviewing curriculum vitaes or CVs that have been handed to you. So that hiring process, going through CVs, organising it, creating shortlists, all that good stuff. So we're going to structure this as a quick intro to the problem. We're talking about how we can kind of crawl, walk, jog, run and sprint at various levels, or kind of in terms of levels of impact for how we use AI. And then we're going to move on to some key takeaways. I'll try to keep to time, but if I am too slow, I'll try to speed this up. Okay, so at a high level, we're talking about large language models. So we're talking about prompting LLMs. If everyone knows what an LLM is, it's essentially ChatGPT or Claude. Those are powered by LLMs. That is the model or AI model that sits behind generative AI. So whenever you're prompting, it's using this huge model in the background to work out the best response for you. So we want to use that for the hiring process. Okay, and once we get to the end, hopefully you'll have some good takeaways. Apologies, I might be a bit slow there, but this is I'm not feeling too well today, so you'll have to bear with me. Okay, so the hiring problem. It's time consuming. It takes ages to do this work. It's repetitive. Looking through CVs, it's error prone. You might get different people, so doing those reviews and looking at resumes and extracting data in different ways. So you're going to get inconsistency throughout. So, I mean, essentially what we're saying is there's lots of kind of admin work involved, and there's lots of room for error and lots of repetitive work where humans get bored, they get tired, they do things wrong. We're not saying AI will do it right, but at least it will do it consistently if you've instructed it to do so. Essentially, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to remove that admin and repetitive work from humans and kind of automate the stuff that's easy for AI to do.
I think that's quite important to highlight here, is that we've picked the CV review as a problem which seems like it will probably be familiar to many of you who run small businesses, because you're always going to want to take on new applicants and grow. So this is probably a task that many of you are familiar with. But the key takeaways here is that these are processes that are time consuming, repetitive, and can be inconsistent with human usage. So if you've got other processes in your business that reflect those three traits, then this might be the one for you.
Thanks, Pete. And I guess we had a quick question for the room here, is how many of you have actually reviewed CVs in the last 6 months? I imagine it's quite a lot, and I know you can't respond here, but if you want to, enter a question in the chat or talk in the chat, please provide that. But I'm sure many of you have had to go through this process. Okay, so moving along then. So what most people are doing today, they're kind of crawling. This is the complete manual process. I know some people are doing AI now, but let's assume this is pre-AI. People are reviewing each CV manually. This could take half an hour, maybe for each CV. They're comparing against job requirements, possibly another half an hour. Can get quite complicated doing that. They're building a shortlist. That could take anywhere from 4 hours to maybe 8 hours, depending on how many candidates you've got. You might need to email those candidates. You might need to gather team feedback from the rest of the team. So there's some admin around it there. And then you might also need to schedule interviews. And I mean, we did a quick tally on this, and even just for 50 candidates, this could easily end up as being 60 hours or more to get that work done. And a large majority of that is actually a kind of manual business, like admin work that could be automated. And it doesn't always require human judgment, a lot of those tasks. So we want to kind of isolate exactly where human judgment is needed. And obviously human judgment is always needed, as Pete mentioned. Okay, moving along. So this is where we get into prompting then. So this is the earliest stage of prompting, the most simple kind of approach to it. This is where you start when you're walking, or the next step after crawling. So this is where we have a simple prompt and we're just asking for content. And I guess the key is anyone can do this. It's really easy. Anyone can jump in and do it. But I mean, we've listed that as a positive, but actually it's also kind of like a negative in a way, because everyone can do this. You're not ahead of the game if you do this. You're just doing what everyone else is doing at the moment, which is just prompting LLMs for simple answers with simple inputs. Although, having said that, it does cut down the CV review time significantly. It makes it so much easier getting a summary and just understanding what the key skills are. That's going to take you forward just doing that simple work. The thing here though, is that your results will vary. The idea is if you provide an LLM with a vague prompt, what you're really saying is that the LLM or the generative AI needs to make those decisions for you. Or, so if you're not telling it exactly what to do, it's going to make up its own best way of doing it. It's going to say, right, this is the best approach for this task. And it's going to do that every time you prompt. So it could be quite different. every time you prompt if you've got a vague prompt. And especially if you're doing that across different team members, your results are going to vary and you're not going to be able to do anything where you can kind of consistently compare candidates. And the other part here is that you've got to rewrite this every time, essentially. I mean, you could save it and reuse it again, but there's not a lot of value in this prompt. Most people probably wouldn't. They just come back and they just ask their questions, and it's that idea that, you're just asking single questions to an LLM and you want a bit more information every time. You're kind of using like a gambling machine and not really using it as something as a structured part of your workflow. Moving on. So jog and better prompting. Ignore the image in the background here. I guess this highlights how AI can go wrong. We used AI for some of these images and you can see that it comes up with some complete nonsense when it's trying to create text and images. AI is never, always right. Always got to watch what it's doing. So what we're saying here though is we're taking prompting from simple prompts to more advanced prompts, and we're giving the AI more context and more understanding of what it needs to do. So in the first instance, that could be just defining the role, making sure that AI understands exactly who it needs to kind of pretend it is to do the work. So in the context of CV review, we want the LLM to think that it's a HR manager. We could tell it needs to what team it's in, maybe what its objectives, what that team is doing at the time, what projects are working on. The more context you give the AI, the better the result is going to come out with. And then moving on from there, you've got to state the objective. You've got to make sure that the bot understands exactly what the task is. And that's you can expand on this. And this is something you're going to be tweaking over time and kind of creating a better and better kind of understanding of the objective. So you could, again, we're just adding context. We could be asking it to create like planning for a shortlist, planning, what specific tasks the user might be doing. And obviously the other big part of this is kind of the job itself. So what we did in this is we actually have a prompt where we can have a variable in it where we can enter the job role. So we might have the full job advert essentially in our prompt so that our AI can understand better how to compare candidates to the actual role that we want to employ. And moving on from that, I guess the other thing is evaluation criteria. So a lot of the time we are asking our LLMs to come back with criteria such as scoring. So it could be like scoring on different aspects such as technical skills for a candidate. It could be their communication skills. We might want to do some categorization around them. But essentially what we're saying here is we want to get structured data about the user. And that might be, something that we can, reuse later to compare candidates. But the core idea here is that, AI gives better results when instructions are clear and actionable. And it's the old days, really, garbage in, garbage out. If you have a garbage prompt or a not a very good prompt or a vague prompt, you're not going to get very good results out the other end. So the more you work on that prompt, the better results you're going to get.
I feel for those of you who were attending the talk last month, I forget the lady's name, but she gave a talk about better prompting specifically for content creation, for blog posts. This is kind of around the level that she was discussing at that point. She was providing objectives, roles, and discussing what the purpose of the output that she wanted from the LLM was.
Thanks, Pete. Okay. So where do we want to go from there then? We want to get better prompts. And the first step one of the big steps to creating better prompts is making sure the LLM understands exactly what you want in terms of the output. So that could be specifying like the structure of the output. You might want specific bullet points, you might want tables, you might want sections. I often ask the LLM for tables because I can copy the data directly out into a spreadsheet, and then that allows me to compare a lot easier. So for example, I might ask for evaluation and scoring numbers from an LLM in relation to a candidate's abilities. And I could copy that out from a table and I could put it in my spreadsheet, and then I can compare all my candidates later. And obviously, if I've got a consistent prompt, I can do that in a kind of a consistent way. If I don't have a consistent prompt, we're going to get differences in how people are evaluated, what their scores are. So the more you specify the output format, the more consistency you'll get. And what that allows us to do is also, so for our CV example, we asked it to provide strengths and gaps in terms of what the candidate can do and what they can't do. And obviously that also leads to us being able to generate interview questions, possible interview questions. I mean, these should all be reviewed by a human beforehand regardless, but it does help, it's that blank slate feeling. You don't want to get to an interview and just, not have any kind of ideas. It's nice to have some ideas up front and you can tweak those.
I think something Theo has touched on a couple of times here. Some of you might have heard, I think it's called the Pareto ratio, and it's this golden 80-20 ratio. And the idea is that we want AI to automate 80% of your repetitive tasks. But we never want to remove the human from the loop because AI makes mistakes, but also you want to make sure that, especially when in the case of hiring someone, this is quite an important personal human thing. So we want to make sure that a human is reviewing this, that is, making the final selections. So yeah, 80-20.
And the key output from this is the AI is now providing kind of reliable and structured information on each candidate and assisting the hiring process. It's not just a helpful tool, it's now kind of a reliable team member almost. Okay.
It's probably just worth highlighting at the run stage, we've already now significantly reduced the time for you to review, say, 50 CVs for a particular job application. Like from what we were saying earlier, 50 hours, 60 hours, you could do this within half a day. Copy all of your CV PDFs, stick them straight into something like Claude or ChatGPT, have your worked on prompt that you've got together with the appropriate outputs and the role definition, and within 3 or 4 hours, you could have a short list of candidates now with summaries of what their skills and strengths are, how well they're matched to a particular job position. So, and the other thing just to kind of highlight is up to this point, at least, everyone is capable of doing this. It might take you a bit of learning how to properly prompt an LLM, and there might be some trial and error here, but this is definitely something that everyone in this room can attempt.
Okay, so we kind of wanted to get to what we do really. This is it. We identify business processes that can be automated using AI and various other tools. So what we got here is just like, how do we take that prompting where we have to do a lot of manual work around it, lots of copying and pasting, how do we put that into a business process where it all happens automatically? So what we're saying here is we want a tool that automatically checks our email inbox. It looks for CVs, it extracts that data, it does AI analysis on that data to get the best results out of it, and then it saves those results somewhere. So that could be to an Airtable, it could be a Google Doc, it could be anywhere where you can compare results, and then also sending acknowledgement emails. So I guess the key thing here is we want 0 out admin steps. You've got rid of all your admin, you're just doing human judgment parts, which will be, reviewing and reviewing the summaries and just understanding like that high level bird's eye view of comparison between candidates. Your data is going to be consistent across the board as well, because you've got a consistent prompt. And obviously also this is available 24/7, so it's going to be working all night. If you've got someone that sends a CV across at 8 o'clock at night, they're going to get an acknowledgement email and a response back that we're going to be looking at their CV. They're not going to follow up with unnecessary emails later asking, they know where they are in the process. We're minimizing, email pain.
I've just noticed the AI analyze icon you've used here is a beetroot. Is that what was that?
Yeah. I think it's a brain kind of exploding, maybe. Let's not.
Okay.
You've got to love an icon, haven't you? It's open to interpretation.
Yeah.
Okay, so our automation example. What I'm going to do quickly here is I'm just going to show you, I know we haven't got a lot of time, but I'm just going to show it on a little bit easier view. But what we've done is we've used N8N, and any of you can start up an N8N account. You actually get some free usage. I think there's a free trial, but also you can, we pay £20 a month for this tool. We've got about 50 automations running all the time, like for different things. But the idea is that you can have any automation pipeline. Here we've got an email trigger where we're looking for emails in my inbox. It's looking for attachments. If it finds an attachment, a PDF, it will try to extract the text. Then it will identify whether it is a resume or not. If it is a resume, it will process that, and it's actually just using the exact prompt that we used for our sort of a manual prompting, and it's just an experienced HR and talent assessor. You know, it's all the same stuff. But I just wanted to introduce you to this quickly because it is really this easy. This took me an hour to put together. The first example of this flow was created with AI, so it was pretty much working within 10 minutes, and then the rest of the time was me tweaking it. But as you can see, it also replies to the user and it stores the data in Airtable. So we're storing data here, as you can see, structured data with overview, interview questions. We haven't got a lot of columns in here, but you can see that it's storing data as we need it to a place where we can then review. We use Airtable because it allows us to create UIs and around this information, and it just makes everything so easy. And as you can see, it sends me an email here. But yeah, this makes everything easier for us. We use this in lots of different contexts. We use it for, checking our emails. We use it for doing text analysis for a lot of our work. We use it. We can pretty much use it for anything because it integrates with any tool. You can integrate it with Google Mail, Microsoft 365. You can have it with any other email provider as well. It has an IMAP connector. I won't go into too much detail.
Sorry, could you just clarify? You said earlier a UI. What is a UI? Just for
sorry. So a user interface. All I meant with Airtable is you can add data and you can very quickly create an interface where you can kind of manage that data. So it's brilliant for small businesses. You just have an Airtable subscription. Suddenly you've got somewhere to put your data, but you've also got somewhere to create a quick UI off the back of this or user interface. So essentially it's like a website, and you can share that website with other people. So it's amazing what you can do now with all these tools that are available. You can automate your entire business. You can have it all look professional using Airtable and various UIs it provides. It's we're in an amazing world right now. And this is why we've moved from enterprise to small to medium business, because these tools are available to everyone. And they're actually, it's a lot more fun working with a small to medium enterprise than it is big enterprise, as you can imagine. So moving on then. So the key takeaways we wanted to mention, because we're a bit beyond time now, and I understand that because we started slightly late. But yeah, the key takeaway is start small and build up. You can start with those small prompts, then build up to that more complex prompt where you're wanting output format in a specific way. And then if you feel you can move to automation, or if you've got enough volume, or if you're saving enough hours to move to automation, then you probably should.
I think that's probably a really important point to make. Automation is incredibly powerful, but it's at scale. So if you have a administration task that you are spending 10 hours every week on, that's 10 hours that you should be automating. That you don't want to be spending your time on. If it's a repetitive task, if you're generating a report, or if you're consolidating different data sources to build a report, that's a class example for automation.
Absolutely. Thanks, Pete. Okay, do you want to take this one, Pete?
Yeah, sure. I'll absolutely bang through this one. The CARE framework is something that we use as a kind of framework for better prompting. Basically just stands for context, asking, rules, and example. The context, as Theo was saying, you provide roles and objectives. You want to ask a specific information. You want to define what your task is. The rules are, LLMs tend to respond better when you tell it what not to do rather than what to do. So if you say something like, I want you to write a professional email, it's not defined any style. But if you say, I don't want you to use any jargon, I don't want you to use any sentences over 20 words, the LLM will actually stick to that rule constraint. So that's a really useful tip there. And then examples. It's really important to provide an LLM with an example of what you want your output to be. That might be you just give it a put answer here, put name here, put response here, or something to that. So yeah, it's just a very simple framework for you to keep in mind, care, when you're building your prompts.
Yeah, it's an easy one to remember. I guess the key takeaway from this is that you don't need to be that technical anymore to benefit from AI. You can start small, and you can improve over time. You take it one step at a time and then automate things that need to be automated. If you can see time can be saved, then automate it. But key is start small and just get into it and just do it. And make sure you save your prompts and reuse them, build them up over time, build a prompt library. And if you need any kind of help, use that CARE framework.
Brilliant. Excellent. No, definitely. And I think that's it, isn't it? It's about training your AI to kind of get to know your, tone of voice, how you speak, how you work, what your pillars are, etc. So no, that's really super helpful. And obviously this is very much a whistle stop tour. So, Pete and Theo, well done. You have definitely gone through a lot in the short space of time. Just a couple of things on the chat. So Anna made a comment about we're still very much at the beginning and not hiring yet, but good to know that such things exist. I think, Anna, this is obviously an example. Bear in mind, this is just an example of how you can use AI and automation. There's so many different ways that it can be used. So yeah, don't this is just an example. Obviously get in touch with Theo and Pete to find out if you've got any other sort of gaps, that you feel that this would be beneficial for you, just to sort of flag that one. Just a quick question for you. You mentioned you can use automation via email, but how would you link up to emails that aren't Google or Microsoft?
Brilliant question. Sorry, Pete, did you want to say that? You look like you're about to...
Yeah, sure. So all email servers are based on basically 3 different types of connection to the outside world. It's POP3, SMTP, and IMAP. And any automation platform that we use NAN, but they all have specific connectors that will link to that technology specifically. So it doesn't matter if it's on Gmail, if it's on Outlook, or if it's your own private server, it will use one of those 3 technologies, and we'll be able to, as Theo's shown on the screen right now, pull up a little connector that will be able to connect to your email server directly.
Amazing. Okay, and one more question. What are the most common tasks you come across that businesses automate on a regular basis?
Good question. So we tend to find things like I mentioned earlier about report generation. So we tend to find even small businesses tend to have lots of information in different places. So you might have your bank accounts in one place, your invoicing system in another place, maybe your staff list or your client list in another place, and you want to be able to consolidate and build reports off of all those data sets. And people will come in on a Monday morning and spend the next 4 hours drawing that information down and building their spreadsheet so they can keep track of, how successful a mail out was or that kind of thing. Those are the kind of things that should be automated. No one should be wasting their time on those kind of like repetitive admin tasks. Other ones, obviously we had the lady who gave the speech, the talk last month, content creation, blog creation. These are all classic examples of having generative AI do the hard work for you. What else, Tara?
Yeah, Natalie. Yeah, no, Natalie, definitely. And I think that's the thing, like, there's obviously sort of, that you're covering a similar basis, but I think it's great to show how it can be used in lots of different ways and circumstances, because I think there is a thing in people's minds that, okay, you use it for content, use it to output content, but actually we know that it can be used in processes like, you say, CV reviewing or document reviewing or anything like that. It can be super powerful. And I love the idea of the automation to sort of feed through the inbox, because if the inbox is anything like mine, it's wild. And actually breaking those things down is not always the easiest. So we are going to have to wrap up here because we've just gone a minute over time. But just to say to everybody who's on this webinar, then there will be an email going out after. There will be Pete and Theo's contact details in there, so obviously you can get in touch. Please find them on LinkedIn as well, and connect that way. If you would like to find out more about SMEs Unleashed, if you are not part of the community, then we have just dropped the link in to the chat. So please do feel free to head there and have a look, or reach out to Naomi or myself if you have any questions. Naomi's just put in the chat, sorry for her cough. Thanks for amazing cover, Sarah, no worries. I hopefully I've not rambled on too much. And a big happy birthday to Pete, because it's Pete's birthday today and he's delivered this talk on his birthday, so happy birthday, Pete.
Thank you very much.
Amazing. And yeah, a big thank you, everybody. As we say, this is just the beginning. There's plenty of opportunity to speak to our experts, so please do reach out to them and reach out to us as a community. But have a great day.
SME Unleashed. Come and unlock your power. SME Unleashed. Grow your business hour by hour. Talk it out, build it up, believe it. This is SME Unleashed. This is SME Unleashed.